Hey, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I thought I would bring you a quick video on the topic of, well, what we like to sort of call old world, hidden history. Some might even call it Tartaria, mud flood, whatever you want to call it. But basically, it's when people like myself take a closer look at buildings that may seem nondescript to you on surface level, excuse the pun, but actually on closer observation you'll discover some very glaring anomalies that simply do not jive with our history books. And the reason why we know they don't jive with our history books is because one of the things that we should be learning about in our history books, but of course it's been hidden away in let's just say make-believe religious scripture type documentation, are things like the ground levels coming up. So if I take a step back here and we have a look at this building that's right in front of me, this is the rear. It has to be someone who looks straight into the camera, even though I was stood here for 2 minutes filming this. This is the rear of the shopping centre in Boscombe. I've just popped into Boscombe because I had to sort a couple of things out. That is the rear of a cafe called The Well, which I shall be going in a minute. This is the rear entrance. Now, when you go up closer to these buildings, we all understand the concept of, the fact that we build on top of things, and that's why you have Time Team on the Yesterday channel showing you Saxon coins and all that when you dig about a foot or two deep under the topsoil of fields in the English countryside. Well, what they don't tell you about, far more significant, are things like this. Now, you'll see guttering and grids and things like that along the side of roads all the time, and of course we'll say it's for it's for drainage and all that, right? But what they will omit, and this is the key, are what you see going on when you take a closer look. So if I look below this grid, I don't know if you can see it properly through my camera, but you can see there is a window below this grid, and you can see to the left and right that is brickwork, right? So I'm on ground level where this is, that I've got my hands on, and below that there's another level with a window, and then there's it's obviously been filled in because the window will not indicate the basement level, the foundation level. There will have to be another level below this. Like I've said lots of times before, you will not build basement walls with windows in them. They form the foundational part of the structure of the building, the key part of the building. You cannot afford to weaken that. So you wouldn't have windows in the part of the building that basically makes contact with the earth at the bottom, right? That's the key part of the building. So anything you see below ground that has windows, that means you have to add at least another level below that, presuming the level below that has no windows. Otherwise, that theory, well, not theory, but that fact continues. Anytime you see a window, you have to go at least another level below to envisage how deep the building goes. So, when I take a step back, you can see there. So there's a window down there. It's difficult to see here. I can't lift this grid up, unfortunately. Right, but that's about 2.5 meters deep there. Brickwork left and right. And if I take a step back from there, so you get the bigger picture of what we're looking at, right, grid, all the way along there. This whole building is at least 2.5 meters lower, probably 5, because you have to add that level that I just told you about that would have no windows in them, the basement windows, the basement walls, the foundational part. And this is what you're seeing. And this is a phenomena, not a phenomena really. This is something that you see everywhere. And I mean everywhere, in every town, in every village, in every country. Certainly every country I've been to, right? Now, there are people who say, well, they've lifted the ground levels up. Well, look, I'm stood on the road that depicts grid level, so the bottom of that road, the bottom of those doors level, right? And we've just seen that there's at least 2.5 meters below that with a window, which means you have to add another 2.5 meters to that. That goes deep down in the ground, that building. So yeah, while we've added, we must have, but you're telling me we've raised the whole town about 5 meters at least. And then you have to worry about all your other stuff, your sewage systems and all your cabling and everything else that you have to add to, you know, to basically make up for or make a good infrastructure that you need for life to function, for a society to function, for people to be able to travel, go to work, live somewhere, shop somewhere, etc., etc. But I thought I would just bring that to you because I think it's best to just show those everyday kind of examples rather than doing a field trip to some big cathedral when really it's the same kind of conclusion to be drawn. You know, this thing here that I'm talking about, where we're talking at least meters down in the ground, if you're going to say, well, that's because they've brought the roads up, fine, but how do you explain that with village greens and things like town hall buildings on the top of hills that clearly go deep down in the ground? What, did they raise the whole countryside on stilts? And of course they didn't. But they would have had to level it up for you to then gain access to a part of the building that they would then turn into ground level, which is what you're seeing here. So that's what they've done. And like I say, it's to be seen everywhere. Look at that. Meters deep with brickwork all the way down. It's quite remarkable, really. So that's what we're talking about. So what we're saying is, and it has to be like that, these buildings were here before the ground that was stood on significantly came up. That's what we're saying. Had to have. You know, you're not gonna dig down into the ground and then make it look like the building is sort of semi-submerged and add windows into the basement walls. Who would do that? You just wouldn't. Anyway, right, before I overlabor the point, I thought I would just bring that to you because I think that's a nice sort of everyday kind of example that most of you, all of you, I would suggest, experience on a daily basis, certainly if you get out of the house, and don't give it a second thought. By no fault of your own or my own, it's just the way we've kind of learnt to, you know, comprehend our surroundings, I guess, through the indoctrination that we've been subjected to from birth. Anyway, I hope you're all doing well. The sun is beginning to show itself a little bit more, so it's starting to warm up a bit. It's just gone 3 in the afternoon, roughly, something like that. So I will crack on with what I was going to do, because I've still got a couple of bits to finish off. And I hope you all enjoy the rest of your week. I will speak to you all soon, and some of you much sooner. So until then, ta-ta for now.